Recording. Good morning, everyone. Greetings from beautiful Vienna. I'm your host, Adela. This is my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. And as I always say, it's a special guest. All of my guests are special, but Selma Prodanovic is the special of the special. Selma, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Adela. This is a pleasure to be here with you. And I congratulate you on your YouTube channel and everything you have done by now. It's awesome.
Thank you. I have been asked by many people that I have interviewed and that are big fans of the channel, when is Selma coming to the channel? So we would love to hear from Selma. You need to have Selma. And as I've told you last night, all of my life, over the last 10 years, when I moved to Vienna and met some really great people, they were all telling me, Selma, you need to meet Selma. And the good thing is, I just wanted to compliment you, is like, they don't say Selma Prodanovic, they say Selma. So by your first name, they already, they know who's that person. So everybody knows you by Selma. It's hard to introduce you, Selma. And I usually ask my guests to introduce themselves. And I thought this morning for you, I was thinking, like, how would you introduce yourself to the place that people don't know you? And then I thought, is there a place where you go when people don't know you? So I think that's challenging to find. I was like, you come to the room, I was thinking like maybe island, you end up on an island, you meet the first stranger, and then you say, hi, I'm Selma, and...
Yes, okay. Well, of course, there are a lot. Thank you very much for all the kind words, and I appreciate that very much. And, sometimes you do things and you're not aware of the impact it has. And it's always beautiful to see that it is in the mission that I'm trying to fulfill in my life. And of course, there are many places where people don't know me, and that's good. There is still so much to do. So, I'm happy with that. It is true. I mean, simply if you would... Google Selma and startup, you will find me. So, I mean, it works with the name. But what I do or what I have done or who I am, it depends on, how do you want to structure the introduction. But really is, I'm a person that had I was very fortunate to live my mission all my life. And that means that I've dedicated my life empowering people and creating a better future. And I've done it through different things. So I have like 30 years of empowerment and systemic change, really changing systems. And this is what I want to do. But also the last 20 years, I've really created and shaped the startup and angel investing ecosystem in Europe and beyond. And today I am taking all of that experience, life experience, business experience, impact experience together and share it. I share it as a speaker through keynotes that I'm booked for. I share it through the campaign that I'm running now, the Selma Effect, and also, of course, as an advisor, a coach, mentor. But this is what I do, is really taking all of that knowledge, I would say, from a woman that decided and had the courage and the audacity to dream big.
I love that you mentioned the Selma Effect and the tour. And I wanted to tell to all of our listeners that last night there was the premiere of the grand tour of Grand Business Dame, Selma Prodanovic. And the Selma Effect is something that all of you here listening have to be there to live it. So to really get that experience, because it lifts you up and then you feel like, I can move the world, right?
Yes. Yes.
So Selma, and this interview is also part of the Selma Effect tour. And I really hope that many people that are listening this can join you in, as you said, keynotes and all the other events that you're going to do. And one of the things that stuck with us, as I was mentioning you, it was this perspective that you shared last night, because the world that we live in is now. Give it me right now. And I love the example that you gave with the internet on a flight. And I just wanted to give you a remark of one of my managers who said, actually, that was the time where I had peace and I could sleep. And now, even when I'm on the flight, people expect me to work, to be available, to be this and that. So he was saying, like, that was the only moment when I was traveling where I could really be silenced or like be on my own.
Yes. Yeah. But that is very important, is really we live in this period of time when everything is about now. And if it has to be all the information, and even today, this interview, people will look the first few seconds and either they like it and they stay, or they will go next. And this is the time we're living. And then in this stage, to kind of take the time and say, okay, but I don't have to live that way. I can live in a certain perspective. So I'm 57 years old, and I'm just getting started. I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. So it's a beautiful stage in my life and phase. But it's also looking at the things, saying that most probably I will live another 30 years. And, if I die earlier, then I die. But I mean, in general, it is about saying, okay, I have maybe 30 years. I have 30 years of professional experience, more than 30 years of professional experience behind me. And now when I think what I can do with the next 30 years is just amazing. With all that experience, with all that expertise, with all that knowledge, now I can really give it. And it is planning my life in a way of how can I consciously and sustainably have a beautiful life, be healthy, be fit, be mentally fit, be excited about my life, do things in a certain way. And I think this is really important to put things into perspective. A very simple example is, let's say that you want to travel to 100 countries. So 100 countries is a lot in terms of time and money. How do you do that? But if you say, okay, I'm going to travel in 100 countries in the next 30 years, that means basically 3 countries per year. That's possible. That's available. And this is what I would like people to start thinking about. Of course, certain things need to happen now. There is your child is 2 today, will not be 2 in 5 years from today. But there are all the things where you need to take care of your job, of your family, or something like that. But still, it is putting into perspective everything else and saying, how do I live a fulfilling, exciting, beautiful life for the next 30, 50, 70 years?
That's awesome. And I think we would love to, the younger generation would love to hear more of that, of, experience, people like yourself who have seen it through, lived it through, have it sort of all. I think, Selma, when I look at you, you have it all.
Yes, I do.
You have it all, right? So it's not, yeah. So we would love to hear from you and people like yourself, of such like perspective, and not have us rush,
Yes.
like myself, it's like next thing, because if I just miss this trend, then I'm out. And, but
Yeah.
we need more of that. We need more voices like yourself who would, calm us down in a first instance, like say, okay, it's fine. It's just,
it is fine. And this is something, I had to, something we spoke about this yesterday, and thank you for mentioning the Selma Effect tour, where it is really about empowering people so that they empower others and feel, creating this ripple effect. And this is something that is really important to me, is to showcase I've done all these mistakes, I believe, and, that's how I explain my life. And I've done, I've gone through so many things. All of us have, is just to learn so that I can make it easier for the next generation. So I wasn't this smart. I would, I do not regret what I did, but I would do it differently today. Today, I know better. So at the time when my kids were, just 2 toddlers, I had a job. I was starting my company. I was a full-time mom, and I was trying to write my PhD. So it didn't work out. It ended up in a burnout or a high-functioning depression and everything that came out of it, because it simply was not possible. And I had to, leave certain things and let go and decide on my priorities. And maybe that's something that is really important for the next generation, for everybody, is deciding what is really your number one priority. And because you will be in a situation where you decide between yourself, your family, job, your mission, whatever you're doing. And then you have to know, my priority number one is XYZ. And this is how you make your decisions. And if you know that, and if you're very, very clear on that, then it's easier to make the decisions and let go of the things that are not working for you at this point in time. And to that, idea, just thought, I did not finish my PhD then, but I'm going to start it now. So at 57, I think it's the right time to start it.
I don't know if you've seen that, but it was a week or two ago that one of the article about 5,200 seniors in Austria started their master degrees or bachelor and master degrees. And I loved it. I was like, that's amazing. It's not five, it's like 5,000 people who are back to university. So
yes, and it is beautiful. Now learning, it's just for me. It has nothing to do, it's not for a job, it's not for my career, it's not for a title, it's just for me. What else, what can be better than, have to learn all the time and have to research all the time. It's just beautiful, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Selma, if one thing on empowerment, I understood it's empowerment through financial independence. We talked about the power of money last night.
Yeah.
Why power of money? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, I mean, money rules the world, right? I mean, this is something that is obvious. We don't have to discuss that.
But we are not raised that, Selma. We are not raised that way. We never talk about
no. But it's happening.
Throughout my life, education normal education, school, and so you never talk about money. But the moment you finish you graduate, you start looking at the job contracts, negotiate the salaries. How am I supposed to do that when I have 30 years or like 25 years been far away from it?
Yeah. And especially in the context of investing. So there are, certain things, but this is something we're not brought up with. It depends on the cultures. Let's put it this way. There are certain cultures where it is more and others where it's less. Also, many cultures, and especially when we speak about Central Europe and we talk about Austria, it is in general, money is bad somehow. Yeah. Being rich is bad. And, there is this connotation that, it's like nothing, it's nothing to aspire to, but somehow you become a bad person. So if you want to be a good person, you're not supposed to have a lot of money, which is totally wrong because money in itself is just a means. It depends what you do with money.
And you should not talk about it. I think that's the idea that I got when I came to Austria. The first thing was people don't talk here about their salaries. You never disclose your salary. You don't talk to your colleague about the salary. But then you think, okay, maybe I'm underpaid, but I don't know. But nobody knows. It's a secret of all the secrets of this,
Yeah. And money in general is not something you speak about. And that's not part of the culture. But that's okay in itself, if that's the way. It just need to learn that this is the way it is. Let me give you just a small example. Imagine, most of us in school, we were taught in terms of, you have 5 apples, you give 3 apples to somebody else, how many apples do you have left? This is something we all grew up with, or most of us grew up with. But imagine if you would grow up with the thought, you have 5 companies you sell to, how many do you have left? That's a totally different narrative. It's a totally different perspective, right? So it is something that we don't know about, and we have to learn because money rules the world, because not the money in itself, but people do it, and we need to be part of it, and we can be part of it. This is really important. We can learn about money, we can learn about investment, and we can learn about the power of money to push for things that you believe are important. So I was discussing about investing in startups, investing in early stage as an angel investor. You as an angel investor, you decide which startups should thrive, which startups should, have the money so that they can develop and really, hopefully create a solution that we all need, create a solution to the grand challenges and really do what they are supposed to do. But putting money into startup A or startup B is a power decision. And you as a person or anybody out there with small and bigger amounts can be somebody who can do that. I'm not saying everybody should be, an angel investor, and it is absolutely 100% risk. So that's not the story, but still, it is about understanding that with your decisions to buy a certain product, to invest into a certain company, you have the power of making the decision. And I would like people to be aware of what it means. If you buy product A or B, it means that you have the power to do that. And we always talk about the power of consumers and everything. And especially for women, were definitely not brought up in the earlier generations, to have money, to have the money, the power of deciding what to do with their money. And it's simply, most of the women had really nothing to do with their money. That it was just something that came in, and somebody else took care of it, and if they worked. So we have a new generation that is looking at things differently, and they are investing. They are smart, and they are just amazing. And I love to see that. But I believe it's important to to understand the relationship that is there. Money in itself means nothing. It's what you do with the money. So if you want to be a great donor and donate billions, well, make the billions and donate them.
Absolutely.
Nobody says that you have to be a bad person. So it's about you deciding what you're going to do.
What I like about our age, our time now, Selma, is that everything that was told to us, we are starting to question it, right? There's not like, because now we have access to all the information. Not like one book in the library where I grew up and went to school, and in this library you have 3 books, and then you read these 3 books and believe the world looks like that. And nowadays it's democratized, so you can, with internet and the phone, you get to read any books and every book that you would like, and access to
any knowledge you need.
Exactly. So that's what I love about this age. For me as a person that loves being curious about certain things, and then why, because I didn't have in my life, the way I grew up, I didn't ask many questions, right? Because that was the way of upbringing, right?
Yes.
You accept it, and that's the way how you go. But now I have this unique opportunity now, and I think it opened up even more since I became a mom, because I think that's where the period of life where we start saying, okay, but why is that so, and why should I give that kind of thinking to my daughter? It shouldn't I be the one cutting, and then like slicing it a little bit down and thinking, okay, well, this, yes, maybe this not, and maybe there's another way. So
I would like, really to push on that. I believe strongly that my children are now young adults and, the early 20s. But they were my best teachers in so many ways. I always say I had the privilege of meeting the Dalai Lama, and I say I learned as much from the Dalai Lama as from my children. And I think it's beautiful, if you allow this relationship exactly to do that, to question, to learn. I've learned from them so much because they look at things in a different way, and I decided to be open and to figure out, not to push. I mean, of course, I have certain ways of doing things, and it's very difficult to say I don't care, but still it is being open to see, okay, why do they do it the way they do it, and is this right or not? And it's really awesome, and I think we can learn so much from directly our own children, but also the younger generations, and we need to do that today. I mean, especially with the fast change that is happening, the pace of change is so fast that it's very difficult to keep up with it. And that's a subject that is part of this empowerment tour, is really, how do you embrace this change, and how do you live with this change, and how does that work for you? Because let's say one thing, that on one hand, it's beautiful to have all that information and all that access. On the other hand, it is difficult because you have so much choice. And that's not easy, when you just think about young people, when they have to decide what and where to study, because they can study everywhere, and they can study everything, and they can study online and on site, and there are so many options. When I was a young woman, there were like 5 options that I had, so it was a very easy decision. What do I do? Which sometimes makes life easier because you do not compare yourself with the whole world. But on the other hand, it is of course a beautiful privilege to have so much access and so much knowledge behind.
Selma, I would like to now talk a little bit what is this year, and what specifically the Selma effect this year. So what are you having in front of you? So what is happening in the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, well, it's really a new stage and a new phase of life, and it's a conscious decision to really take everything I have learned in these 30 years and in my 57 years of life, and take it and package it in different manners so that I can share that knowledge. And the Selma effect is really about this understanding that everything I'd done, I thought it was, supporting startups, and I thought it was about angel investing, and I thought it was a creating ecosystem. But at the end of the day, it is really the empowerment. And how do you bring this entrepreneurial spirit, this connectedness of communities that we have today, the perspectives of how do you do things and how do you create a better future together? And this is what the empowerment meaning behind it. And the Selma effect is really using that name to, as you said yesterday, to really live that empowerment and the lifting. And it is combining the personal growth, the business growth, and the impact growth. I believe that we are all have the right to make a positive difference. And I believe we should be, creating an impact and doing it the same way you're doing with this YouTube channel. You're trying to make an impact and trying to help others have a better life. And this is exactly, what I believe we should be doing. And this campaign is really, there are certain events that are already planned and, that are going to happen. Some of them are closed events, some of them are public events, but also it is possible for companies or cities or organizations to book, to be part of a tour by contacting me, and I hope to have many to come in the this year. It is part of the empowerment tour, as I call it. The other thing is really as a keynote speaker, which is companies and organizations, booking me as a keynote speaker on the different aspects. So I have, next week I'll be in Greece talking about angel investing. On the other hand, so these are all the different things that I do. And certainly something I do on a very exclusive, let's say, or small, groups. I really would like to, and I do coach one-on-one or in small groups, and I coach exactly this kind of holistic view where mostly we work on the business, but it is to be able to work on the business, you have to look at certain personal stories. So one of my clients, for example, she came up with the fact that she had a relationship issue, and that's why she was not succeeding in her business. Until she solved that, she was not able to solve her business issues. Another one, really had just started. Basically, she left the corporate business and decided she's going to start her own new business, but then decided to take a break, take it easy, take the time to really make the right decision for herself. These are, most of the time, I work with basically overachievers, people that are doing so much. And most of my role is really to tell them to, kind of slow down a little bit and take it easy, or to strategically plan what they're going to do. And this is what I do, is really work on this, kind of planning of life, designing life, taking into consideration and time who you are, what you want, and how much time do you have to do that. And I believe it's really, it's been a blast for me when I see the results for my clients, and I love doing that. Really, it's just enjoyable. It's a great opportunity to lift people to create, a better life for themselves and design it. And I know that, it sounds like very similar to everything that is out there, but it seems it's very different. So one has to try.
It is. As you said, you have to try. And I have many people who sometimes ask me, like, coach, do you have a coach to recommend? And that's very personal decision. I always tell to people, of course, I can, give you contacts. I've been fortunate to know many of you for specifics. But I said, you have to connect with the person.
Absolutely.
You have to connect with, the story, the values. First, this personal connection has to happen. Otherwise, it will be, impersonal, and then because you have to open up. Coaching, for me, was always very vulnerable and very opening up, because you have to share, as you said, personal details that you usually nobody knows, or maybe you and a few people in that person's life. So personally, it has to fit.
I would just like to add, I'm not a regular coach in terms of, like coaching, but it's really this combination of coaching and mentoring based on all the experience and advisory. So it's like this, the approach is very unique. And this is something I'm very proud of, is that really the way I work and the strategical approach, the strategies I use, the framework I use are very, very special and are based on the experience that I've gained throughout my life and my professional, all the mistakes that I've made and the successes I've had.
Thank you, Selma. And I hope that some of the people listening to this will get in touch with you. I will link your LinkedIn profile and the website so they can get in touch with you and take the offer. We have very few more minutes. I would like to invite you to, share us anything that you think would be, not anything, but if we have missed something, or what you think for the people who are thinking moving to Austria, is there something that you see through your career, like, this is the one thing that really helped others to thrive?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started talking about something that I call the Austrian dream. We always talk about the American dream and, how you're going to live in the States and, how you dream about it. And I would like to just pinpoint that the fact that, I've had this beautiful life in this country, and I was able to have that life here. I was welcomed and really had a lot of opportunities. Of course, it's not easy. You have to go through all the things of expats and internationals moving to a new country. But I do believe in this European Austrian dream, and it is defining yourself, what you really like and what you want. And part of the work I do, and part of the the empowerment story, is like entrepreneurship is something you decide what your values are and how do you define success. And I think it's important also when moving to a country, you need to decide how do you define your success in that country. And is it being accepted in certain circles, or being able to do your job, or just having a beautiful life with your husband and child, or whatever your success is. I think it's very important to be clear on that before you move to a country, or when you move to the country at the very beginning. That makes it easier not to be disappointed, and makes it easier to really thrive in the country where you are, no matter where it is.
And last but not least, what is Selma reading these days? What books, journals, magazines?
Currently, I'm doing a lot of courses where I'm learning, and so I'm using several things. I'm using certain courses from Mind Valley. I'm Growth Day from Prodanovic and Mel Robbins, and these are the three I'm currently have all three open and doing different courses, and really kind of trying to develop in that direction. And on the other hand, I'm taking a lot of time to think strategically, and I believe that's really important. I'm planning my life and designing my life strategically. This is something we were also never taught and brought up. Is like, especially as women, you live what comes to you. And I am, I really would like everybody to strategically plan their own life and to go for it. Of course, life happens and surprises happen, but you have to know where you're going and how do you want to do it. So I'm dedicating a lot of time currently in, strategically planning the next 30 years.
That sounds amazing, Selma. And I think it's really nice to finish on that note. I wish you all the luck, all the blessings, and all the love of this world. And I hope that you succeed to 60, 70, 80 years, and then have joy and bring all the joy that you bring with you to the rest of the world. I really feel it, and I was very honored to be part of the Selma Effect tour that started last night.
Thank you very much, Adela. You're doing an amazing job, and you're giving so much constantly. And you are one of those role models that, a woman that came to Austria, and with this YouTube channel, you are exactly giving back and living your dream exactly, and showing how to live the dream to everybody else who's coming to the country. And thank you for the work you're doing. It's a pleasure, and it's an honor to be with you.
Thank you, Selma, and thank you everyone for listening this episode. Please get in touch with Selma. Please connect her on LinkedIn. She's doing some amazing posts over there. Every day you learn something new, and I hope you will join one of her programs. Wish you a good day. Greetings from Vienna, and bless you all. Selma, thank you. Thank you.
Bye.